afternoon, and good evening to you. Welcome once again to TFH, the Full 100. It's Tuesday, the 5th of May today, and it's a beautiful day in the UK. 5 weeks in, today is the second weekday of week 5, and we're getting closer to getting opened, so we're looking forward to it. Guys, today's show is an update one. I'm bringing you up to date with a few things we touched on in the past. The Chinese threatening the blacks in China. I'm also going to bring you the bit of a response from the blacks in Africa right across the continent. Bring you a little bit of an update on that. I'm also going to bring you an update on the track, trace and treatment version, the part of the UK, what we're moving into now. Obviously, we've had a lockdown. We're opening up. I've been keeping you guys posted on vaccines, on treatments. Remdesivir is now being issued in America. Oxford's doing their tests and stuff like that. Their trials, on a new drug. I don't quite know the name of that drug yet, so I can't bring you that name as of now. However, guys, I'm bringing you update on Brazil as well. So, guys, without further ado, let's get to it. Right, guys, it's a serious matter, the first topic, and it's to do with, I'm sure some of you watched my video when this news first hit me about the Chinese picking on the Africans, the black Africans in Africa, and blaming them for some reason, taking it out on them, whether they were blaming them or just because they were getting beat up abroad, not in Africa. But I heard news they were getting beat up in the UK and also in America. And the funny thing is, when I heard that news as a black person, I was upset. I was upset for the Chinese because I'm just thinking this is a typical, excuse my view of it, but it's a very typical white thing, and it's mostly the right-wing white people. It's the same sort of people that when we voted to leave Brexit, to leave the European Union, they were telling people to go back to Somalia when Somalia is not even in the EU. So it's that type of people. So I'm sure the fair-minded white people would not mind me saying this, but it's a very white behavior. And when I heard that, I knew there weren't a single black person beating up on a Chinese person. I knew there probably weren't any Indians or Pakistanis or anybody else in America or in the UK doing this to them. And I felt bad for them. And then the news hit me, guys, that they were beating up on my own people, my black people in their country, and blaming them for the coronavirus, basically taking it out on them. And if you guys saw my video, I still apologize for it because I think it was the most upset that I've been doing these videos when I did that. I was really upset. And that video got pulled because one of the clips, or the main clip that I put on the video, was showing the Chinese beating an innocent black fella. It looked like a train station with metal bars and metal poles, like literally beating him to a pulp. And it really upset me. But I put the video I put that clip on my video on that day, and YouTube pulled it down, wrote me an email, said, listen, we don't mind what you're doing. However, you breached our community rules and whatever else. Well, so basically I used someone else's video, I think, and I think the person had tagged the video. So unfortunately, I couldn't put that video on there. But if you go back and watch that, Africans being victimized in China, and being blamed for coronavirus, go back to my video library and you'll be able to watch that. So an update to that, guys, is that as much as I didn't and I don't tolerate violence, and I couldn't do that, never mind what my own personal reaction might be if that was one of my friends, I probably would take the same action, and I'm not embarrassed to say that on this platform, because it was just one breach too far. It was just one victimization too much. It was just the straw that broke the camel's back. I've had videos that I'm not going to put on it, guys, because putting it on there only encourages other people, and it's in a way it's not nice, okay? But a part of you feels glad that something's being done in retaliation because it was just one too many. So guys, the update to that is many Chinese literally are being evicted from their rental properties. Obviously, their landlords and landladies were African in whatever African country they're at. Also, diplomatic talking is now going on, and the owners seems to be on China to make this right, because they're the ones who started this victimization. And the President Xi, didn't say a word. He didn't come out. And it took, really, I think that what turned the corner to make this a diplomatic situation, again, because of our lazy African leaders who just went on like it wasn't, because it wasn't their child, just went on like it didn't concern them. And when this is over, guys, I'm going to come back to do a special show, my vision of where black people should be moving, what direction black people should be moving after this. But however, in relation to this, I'm going to show you a video of an ambassador based in China who called out, the diplomats called out the Chinese establishment. And I think it was more off the back of her, which got the African nations to then start talking. And I think there is some kind of diplomatic communication going on between African leaders and the Chinese establishment about this behavior. But suffice to say that many Chinese have been hurt. It was really a stupid thing. You know, I mean, that's a bit like throwing a rock at your window and not think you're going to throw a rock back at mine when my house is just across the road from yours. It was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous move to make. And if this sort of behavior were to happen more often, not that I'm condoning it, I will never condone that. Let me just say this on here, okay? I'm not condoning it, none at all. However, if every time, for example, a police officer shot an unarmed American, black American in America, if the very next day a police officer in an African country shoots dead an American expatriate, if this was the retaliation, tit for tat, that had been going on over time, just maybe we won't have so many innocent people dead. You know, I'm not condoning it and I'm not suggesting it. However, it makes you think. You know, when you're backed into a corner, it gets you thinking. And even though I'm not condoning the behavior, a part of me is kind of glad they got a bit of it back. I don't know how you guys feel. Again, I have to repeat, I'm not condoning it. I would never condone violence on a platform like this. I try to keep this respectable. However, a part of me was kind of glad, I'm not going to lie. And I would more encourage my black landlords and landladies over in all the continents, all of the countries on the continent. If you see this, keep evicting them. Just keep evicting them. Keep evicting them. Let them be homeless. But don't hurt them. Don't kill them. Don't hurt them. Don't put tires on them and burn them. Don't hang them. Don't do none of the stuff that they've done to us for many, not them, but the other races have done to us for centuries, and that we're fed up of. But keep evicting them, guys. We need to teach other races a lesson now, okay? We can't just be the scapegoat for every race that gets tired of something. We know what to do. Let's go pick on black people, you know? So that has to stop, guys. Let me show you guys this video. Have a look at this ambassador discussing, calling out the African leaders, basically. And I do believe it was down to her why the diplomatic conversations are now going on. Take a look.
To my fellow African diaspora, a very good day to all of you. My name is Ambassador Arikana Chihombori Kwao. Over the past couple of days, I've received many messages, emails, phone calls, and video clippings of the abuse that is being meted to our fellow African diaspora living in China. I've watched in horror Africans roaming the streets of China with their possessions after being evicted out of their homes simply because they are Africans. I've watched in horror Africans roaming the streets with their suitcases and at times with nothing at all, roaming the streets after being thrown out of their hotel rooms simply because they're Africans. I have watched in horror women carrying babies roaming the streets of China with nowhere to go after being thrown out of their homes simply because they're Africans. I've heard many stories of Africans who are married to Chinese being separated from their husbands or wives simply because they were Africans. I've heard stories about Africans being forced to take COVID-19 tests simply because they're Africans. In many cases, these individuals did not meet criteria for testing, or they had been quarantined for the specified time period as mandated by the anti-pandemic laws of China. Not once have I heard any complaints of any African disobeying the anti-pandemic laws of China. Why is it then that Africans are being singled out and mistreated?
Guys, I think it was down to her efforts. I've seen other videos. So I mean, there's a very angry gentleman actually. I'd like to play his video for you. Very, very angry gentleman. And can you blame him? Take a look.
Only antidote to that is our unity. I know, as I said yesterday, that there are already efforts to move Africa in the direction of unity at the economic front, but the suspicions in Africa are too great. The African politician is perhaps, with due respect to them, Africa's curse.
My people, are you guys aware what the fuck is going on in China right now? My people, do you guys know that they are attacking black Africans in China as I am talking with you right now? Chinese are attacking our people. They are accusing black people bringing corona to China. My people, as I am talking with you today, our African brothers and sisters, they are carrying their suitcase, roaming in the street of China. They don't have no place to live. China is evicting black people, giving them 2 hours notice for them to leave their property. Can you believe this? My people, you know, our African sisters carrying their baby with their suitcase, they are roaming in the street of China because Chinese are kicking them out, accusing them of bringing corona. My people, our African brothers and sisters who are going to school, they're kicking them from their school dorm where they are living. They're kicking them out. My people, as I am talking with you today, our African sisters who are pregnant, they are pregnant. Chinese are kicking them out because Chinese are accusing us for bringing corona in China. Corona is made in China. Chinese made corona. Corona is from China. It's a Chinese pandemic. Today, because of China, the world is paying the price. Because of you, the Chinese, the entire world is paying the price. China, let me warn you. If your Chinese citizen can take the law into their hand and attack our Africans, beating them up, kicking them out, we can do the same. We the Africans, we can take the law into our hand and attack your people and burn their businesses. We could do the same.
Right, welcome back. Now, many people were upset. What can I say? People were upset, you know? And you're more upset when you knew that your parents, imagine you're a child whose next door's child keeps taking your school dinners, keep taking your pocket money. And your dad is going to do something about it. You know, you keep going to daddy and daddy doesn't say nothing to next door or next door's dad. If, you know, your frustration just builds up. And I think that's where we're at because our governments, our black leadership right across the world, they've just watched us suffer. Every regime that's coming has never lifted a finger to help anyone outside of their compound, outside of their family compound. Never mind in the country, then never mind me in the UK or some black American in America or black Australian in Australia, you know. So have a look at some other clips. These are not clips, but these are just headlines. Have a look at a few headlines, guys. Guys, I want to end by saying this, okay? This platform is a platform that came into being because of fake news. I will always take down a fake news channel, take down fake news carriers, whether it's the BBC or it's Boris Johnson, or it's Chris Preddy, who I took down the other day, or it's Kate Shemirani, who I took down the week before that, or if it's calling out Amir Khan, which I've done on my videos because he retweeted, you know, he retweeted stuff from David Icke, you know. Anybody who's spreading that sort of falsehoods, I will take them down because that's what this channel was built to do. Now, on top of that, however, this channel is also here to inform you. Because information is key to making decisions. Lack of information is killing us in droves as black people, right across the world, whether be it in America or across the Atlantic over here. So, guys, I want to remind you guys what this channel is about. It's here for us to speak up. Us fair-minded people, black, white, pink, or blue. I don't care what color you are. If you're fair-minded, if you think Donald Trump's a racist, you're on my side because he is racist. If you think, oh, what's he done wrong then? Oh, it's all right, you know, he's allowed to think what he thinks. So if you're one of those people, then get the hell off my platform because fair is fair. I'm tired. I'm absolutely tired of governments thinking because of politics, because of friendship, we shouldn't call people out. That's what got Trump where he is today. And we should be able to call people out. Those days are long gone. You know, if you have a cabinet colleague who said something that you know in your heart of hearts is wrong to say, don't come on TV and fraff about your interview trying to say, well, I've known him 20 years and he's a nice chap and he hasn't got a racist bone inside of him. I don't mind you saying that. However, that's not how you say it. What you say is, I've known him 20 years and up until now, I'd never heard him say something so racist. That's what you say, right? This platform is about calling people out, right? Now, and it's also about informing you. And it's also about getting rid of that confusion that many of you have in terms of what to believe or what not to believe. So I'm going to swiftly move on to the next topic. The next topic is relating to testing, the phase we're coming into now. Guys, if you remember, the first time I touched on this was last week sometime, right, guys? And I mentioned to all of you that we're now going into this phase, and I warned you guys to expect fake news. I said, I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know how he's going to come. However, I know there's going to be some form of fake news around this phase that many countries are going into this phase right now. Yeah. Now, obviously, I came to you guys Friday with Trump's new fake news about the virus starting in China. You know what's so funny? This is the news that I was getting on my WhatsApp right at the beginning of this thing. Before anybody even took this seriously, yeah? Before I even knew how serious this was, even though I keep up with things, yeah? All we knew at the time was that there was a new virus taking hold in China, in Wuhan. At that point, when the news broke, there was a lot of WhatsApp messages flying around saying this virus started in a lab. And, you know, even though I hadn't had a lot of information like where we are now, it just didn't sound like it could be true because of virus. Viruses are just so organic. They're just so organic. And I'm talking about organic. When we talk about Brazil, I'm going to talk to you guys about organic. But this viruses are so organic, yeah, that for it to be a virus, yeah, it's just very, very unlikely that it starts from a lab. Unless you're actually messing with a virus, unless you've taken a virus out of somebody, a highly infectious virus like Ebola, and you've got it in a lab, in some test tube or some container contained, and somebody's taken it out and it's dropped at the pocket and it's dropped and broken, and that person's contracted it and then passed it on to some. Other than that, it just didn't make sense. But guess what? Our leader of the free world, Mr. Trump, who we baby schooled yesterday, he is now taken on that fake news that existed way back, and then that fake news got squashed by the 5G fake news became the main one for weeks and weeks, if not a couple of months. And now the 5G fake news as quashed, because those who were thinking that can now see how stupid that was, what they were thinking. So now they've gone on to the vaccine side, which is why I had to call out my good friend Chris Preddy, because Chris Preddy had on his show some evangelical right prophet who's as racist as they come, even though he's black, right? Talking about what we're dying from now, what people are dying from now is not the vaccine. Is not the virus. People are dying from something invented only to fool us. So I had to call out Chris, because what you're doing there is those who listen to you. He's a young man. Many people who watch his channel, he's got like, I've looked into him now. Many people who watch his channel, he's got like 7,000 odd people watching his channel. Yeah. Many of them are going to be young rap type kids who have never picked up a newspaper in their lives. So when they hear Chris saying that, then they go home, tell mommy that. If mommy doesn't read the paper, then they're both screwed. The family's screwed. You're screwing the whole family. If mommy reads the paper, mommy's still going to have a battle, because you got Chris Preddy, who this young man probably looks up to. You got mommy over here, who the kid's probably saying to mom, you don't know nothing. Trust me, Chris knows everything. Chris, trust me. Right? And this is the type of division that type of video can create in a household. Never mind the amount of people that might die. If you kill one person who refused to take the vaccine because he said, that's one person too many. So hence I took him down. Why am I saying all this? Because now we're getting into the track. So we're getting into the track, trace, and treatment, right? Phase of this, the 3 T's. So you track some. If you got the virus, you get tracked. Then they got to trace those you come in contact with, and then everyone gets a treatment. Now, the UK government has enlisted the NHS to facilitate the track and trace and all of that. Now, if you've been watching my video, and if you've been listening and taking my advice too, not just my videos, but if you have been listening to the news, I'm sure you've been hearing that that's how they beat it in China, that's how they beat it in Korea, that's how all the countries have to beat it. So those countries that didn't even want to do it are doing it because that's the only way right now. Until we got a vaccine, until we know more about it, that's the only way right now. So the NHS, the government's done a smart thing. I have to say, it's a smart thing, because I think if they use the police force, or if they use some defense outfit of the state, I think it would have been bad. I think them using the health care establishment of the state is a very, very smart move. Very, very smart move. And I'm not embarrassed to say that. I mean, when the government makes a smart move, come on, man, we tell it. When you act like fools, then we're going to tell it too. And that's why this platform's here. When the time comes to vote, yeah, I'm going to remember and I'm going to recant every cock up that this government's cocked up, but I'll also give them every stripe that they deserve me to give them, because this is a truthful and honest channel. And that's all I want to do, is give you the truth. So here's a little video of our next phase in terms of the 3 T's: trace, track, and treat. Take a look.
Good morning, how are you? A new app to track the spread of coronavirus is being rolled out on the Isle of Wight today. The trial will help shape the government's strategy for easing the lockdown. The software is designed to rapidly trace recent contacts of anyone who tests positive for COVID-19. It's hoped it will be rolled out across the UK by the middle of this month. In other developments, some of England's largest providers of care in the home have told the BBC.
The NHS COVID-19 app lets you know quickly if you've come into contact with someone who has symptoms.
This is the NHS app that could play a key role in stopping a second wave of the virus.
Place your phone screen down.
It's already been trialled on a small scale at an RAF base in North Yorkshire. Now it's being rolled out across the Isle of Wight. Today, council staff and healthcare workers will be able to download it. On Thursday, the general public on the island will have access. The new app uses a phone's Bluetooth connection to work. Once you've installed the app, every time you come into contact with someone else who has it, your phone records that fact. Then if you tell the app you have symptoms of COVID-19, the other people who you've been close to will be automatically alerted and should self-isolate. The app is just one part of a wider strategy to test, track and trace the virus. It's hoped 18,000 specialist staff will be at work by the middle of the month using widespread testing to stamp out any virus hotspots.
The aim of Test, Track and Trace is to hunt down and isolate the virus so it's unable to reproduce. And crucially, Test, Track and Trace allows us to take a more targeted approach to lockdown while still safely containing the disease. By embarking on this project and by embracing Test, Track and Trace, you will be saving lives.
So it's not science, it's not rocket science. And listen, I am honestly pleading with you, my black people, especially because we are the most suspicious as a race, and it's not our fault. And anybody outside of the black race, if you are not black, you will never understand this one tool that you put up your defense against that tool, and it really it can hurt every other part of your life. And that's really what black people have had to do. We've had to, in terms of boxing, we've had to put our guard up all the time. So imagine walking around with your guard up all the time. It's pretty hard to come down and shake a hand, isn't it? Right? So if you picture, this is how we walk around the whole lives from the day you're born. And this is what white people don't tend to understand, and the white leadership, that if you only relax things for black people, if we start to get the confidence that when a law comes in, we won't bear the brunt of it. When a strict guideline comes in, that we won't. Why don't we ever get the best of anything? So we tend to walk around like this the whole time, expecting the worst from any person of authority that we speak to. Now, some of us have learned to sort of watch carefully and do this, but majority of people are like this in my community. So when you're like this, it's pretty hard to say, hi, how are you? How are you doing today? Is it a sunny day for you today? How are you getting on? It's pretty hard to do that. So my black people, my plea to you guys, is please don't start no fake news around this thing. It's simple Bluetooth. We are not even going, there is a whole nother back end to this thing that this country is not bringing in. And the Western countries are not. Because in China and in South Korea and in Singapore, they have facial recognition tools. Now, Singapore didn't use it as much, but it's there for them to use it. We don't know to what extent they did and they didn't. China and now Russia. Now, tomorrow's show, guys, I'm going to be talking about the four amigos. Boris Johnson, Putin of Russia, Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, and Bolsonaro of Brazil. So tomorrow's show will be titled The Four Amigos. And I'll deal with Russia then tomorrow. But Russia's now doing the same as what China did, which is using the facial recognition. Here, guys, all we're using is just a Bluetooth. If you turn off your Bluetooth, you don't save anybody. If you have your Bluetooth on, or yourself, because imagine I'm following the whole system properly, because I will do. I have no reason to hide. I have no reason to distrust it. To me, it's saving my life. It's saving my family's lives. So imagine we're at a bar. I've got my Bluetooth on because I believe in the system. You don't, because you think they're tracking your every movement and they got police spying on you, or they got helicopters over you or whatever. So you don't have your Bluetooth on for that reason. Now, what happens if the third person we was with was in contact with someone else the day before? So we leave the bar, something happens on his phone that the system alerts my phone to say, wow, Anthony, you've just been in touch with Derek. Derek, we know, was in touch with Stephanie, who has declared that she has it. So we've contacted Derek. We're now contacting you. Please go to your nearest center. So me, Derek, and the girl, we get treatment. You, the third person standing with us, because your Bluetooth is off, you don't get the treatment. You go home and you spread amongst our community again, because your missus will have her friends. Your kids will have his friends. Then your missus goes to her mom's house. And then her mom's got her friends. Guys, all I'm saying to you guys, is don't listen to the fake news around this. This is why I'm taking my time to explain this. This isn't the first time I discuss this. I've been bringing this along to you guys slowly, just so that you guys understand. Please, I'm really serious about this, because what's unfair about it is if it's only 10% of the black community. I mean, they're already saying they expect about 60% only to take it up. That leaves 40% of the country who won't take it up, okay? Now, if of that 40% of the country who didn't take it up, yeah, if we make up 90% of that, we're screwed. As a community, we're totally screwed, guys. Yeah? Because it's going to come right back and bounce on the 10% who did take it up, including myself. I've got it. I've got my Bluetooth on. My wife's got Bluetooth on. And however, because lockdown's over, we're socializing with a bunch who think the state's on their case and the state's trying to trap them and find out where they've been and who they're having sex with and who they're not having sex with and all of this, you know, because of those feelings, we then end up getting infected because our population are not. So guys, I'm going to end this on this subject by saying, keep your ears peeled for fake news, number one. Any fake news you hear, stop, take a breath, go into it yourself, let common sense kick in. We all have it. Some of us just don't trigger it. It's like a muscle that's lying down because you haven't been doing exercising. But the minute you start exercising, guess what happens? It starts to pump up. Let's use our common sense, guys. Let's not keep him in our back pocket like it doesn't matter. Right? So you hear the fake news around this stuff. Anyone tells you, oh, I don't trust them, I don't trust them. You're going to hear that. I guarantee you're going to hear that. All I have to do now is go to any of my older crew, right? And go sit down and have a coffee with them or sit down and have a drink for an hour. And I bring that topic up. I guarantee if there's 5 of us there, about 3 of them are going to say, nah, man, I'm not signing up to that. Nah, man, I don't know what they're going to do with it. Nah, man, nah. If you come across this kind of conversation, and I'm not now just appealing to you who watch this, when I'm saying to you about common sense and let the common sense kick in and watch it and then kill it dead, but go one step further. Please, for the sake of our communities, go one step further and have that debate with them. I'm not saying have an argument with them, but have that debate with them. Because you might not win the debate with them. However, if they run into someone else at a shop tomorrow and the person says similar to what you're saying, that person might not win either. It might take the 3rd or the 4th person before it starts to get through. So every little does help. Yeah, don't think because you speak to this person and they didn't pay attention to what you had to say means that I can't be bothered with the next person. Every little help. I'm here doing this to help save lives and to help dispel the confusion and all of this stuff flying around and clouding people's minds. So you can do the same. So I'm asking all you, especially my black community guys, to please help spread the news and help kill the fake news. Okay, guys? Right. The last topic of the day, guys, is Brazil. Wow. Guys, I was talking to a female friend of mine who was telling me, I think it was last week, middle of last week, and she was very strong on a suggestion that, if Brazil, if you're right, how come nothing's happening in Brazil then? I've got family in Brazil, they're Christian, they're Catholic, how come nothing's happening over there? And I said to her categorically, it's coming their way. All you got to do is quite simple. When I use the word simple, I think she mistook what I mean by simple by taking it that I meant my mind's more, I'm more intelligent than she is or something of the nature. But she took it the wrong way. But what I meant is, if you take the fog and the confusion of where your mind was, you see, I'm starting this race with a clear mind, and everything that I'm saying and everything that I mapped out, because I knew it was organic, has come to happen. However, those who've come into this race with a blurred mind and 5G, you can see that everything you was thinking is not happening, right? Okay, so that's where we are if you're on that side, and if you're on this side. On this side of the fence that we knew this was a virus, we can see it all happening. So Brazil, I said to the young lady, I said, look, Brazil's time's coming. The reason you're not seeing the big numbers is because they're not testing. They've got another Trump over there who doesn't believe in tests. So clearly he's not putting the government's resources into testing. Because if you believe that this is real and you believe that your people need saving, then one of the things you're going to have been talking about in the last month and a half, at least, will be developing tests, buying PPEs, buying equipment, social distancing. This guy took the Supreme Court. I mean, he tried to not put it in place. So the Supreme Court and the Parliament put it in place. So they overrode him. Now, Parliament overrode him. So he didn't want to put it in place. The Parliament did. When the Parliament did, he took the Parliament to the state's highest court, the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled against him. Okay? So lockdown stayed in place. However, because you have a leader, just like Trump, is leading a country where he tells them they need 14 days of downward spiral before he recommends. This is the government's policy. But yet a day after he gives that policy, the very next day, he's saying, liberate the blue states, liberate the blue states. How can you win with that sort of messaging? So that's what's happening with this guy as well. His mixed messaging is paying dividends in the sense that, not paying dividends as in a good dividend, but paying dividends in the sense that look at what you're causing. Okay? So to my good friend, here's a video of what's going on in Brazil right now. Take a look.
Turn to Brazil, where President Bolsonaro, once dubbed the Trump of the tropics, is coming under fire for his handling of the pandemic. In the past few weeks, Bolsonaro has been attending rallies with hundreds of supporters in defiance of social distancing, and he sacked his popular health minister. More than 100,000 people have contracted the virus in Brazil so far, and 7,000 lives have been lost. But the president doesn't seem to care. Just look at this exchange with a reporter last week.
We have passed the number of dead in China. Brazil.
So what? I'm sorry, but what do you want me to do?
It's really shocking. It's hard to listen to that, a government leader saying, so what? Many experts are warning that Brazil is the next deadly hotspot as the virus rips through tightly packed favelas or slums. Far from the cities, though, the country's indigenous people are also especially vulnerable. Health experts are warning that communities in the Amazon region are in danger of, quote, being wiped out by the virus. And now a big group of artists, celebrities, including Paul McCartney, Madonna, and Oprah Winfrey have written an open letter to President Bolsonaro, urging him to prevent a coronavirus genocide. The acclaimed Brazilian photojournalist Sebastião Salgado is behind the global petition, and he's joining me now from Paris. Sebastião Salgado, it is always good to have you and your expertise on this program.
Yeah, I mean, I said it. I mean, all you had to do was listen to me. I said it. I don't want to be right. I don't. However, the difference between me and others is I can see it's an organic thing. And it is as simple as that. It really is. If you stop and get rid of all the other bits in your mind, blocking your mind from seeing the organic pattern of it, then you will see what I'm seeing. Because I knew he was coming. I told her. I actually mentioned the favelas. Said, oh, I've got people who live in the favelas and there's no way they would have kept their mouth shut. You see the cemeteries. You see the burial sites. Now, the sad thing, from tomorrow, I'm going to start dealing with 4 hotspots now. Okay? Remember, I labeled UK and US the hotspot. I've now been working with them now for 2 weeks as the hotspots. Okay, I'm now going to add Russia and Brazil, because the reason I'm adding those two to get on top of that now is because Brazil is very, very much unique in that it has the Amazon dwellers. Okay, a huge population of Amazon dwellers. Now, history has happened before where in America, the Red Indians or the Amazonians or even the Pygmies in Africa, there's been periods in our history, as in man's history, where these whole people were wiped out because of a simple flu, because they catch it on contact. Maybe here's a tool, here's a knife, here's a gun. We present your chief with a gun, that gun they've called flu, they've gone back into the jungle. No one knew that they got the flu. They don't have the same medicine we have in the jungle, so they die in droves. Now, the news coming out of the Amazonia region of Brazil is that this is imminent. And that's the sad thing about Bolsonaro and the Brazil story. So we're gonna put that on the we're gonna put that on the front page now from here on in. I knew Brazil was coming. It just made sense. Then you got the other right wing nut, as in Putin. But Putin's not so much a nut. Putin's a right wing danger. Putin's not a joke, guys. Putin is. You see how my demeanor changes when I speak about the guy. You just can't help it. I'm not acting it. It's just natural. Look at Trump and you think Trump's a right-wing twat. Yeah? You look at Putin and you want to arm yourself quickly. But he's just as right-wing. But he makes you want to arm yourself. Now, the story coming out of Russia, I'm going to bring to you tomorrow. Like anything with Russia, doctors are flying out the window, dead. Only in Russia. Unbelievable. So tomorrow's show, guys, look out for it. It's all about the four amigos. UK Johnson, US Trump, Brazil Bolsonaro, and Russia Putin. Now, Putin did exactly what Trump did. He dismissed it. He thought it was a joke. I mean, guys, when this is over, I really want to poll. If I can poll people and think, how many of you really want to vote in a right-leaning government after this sort of fiasco? Because this is the first time in our lifetime that we can really see a difference between right-wing thinking governments and left-wing thinking governments. Clear as day. So anybody who's trotting off to the election booths between now and 5 years from now, if you're still thinking, you know, the right wing will look after us, just watch my show tomorrow. You see the same problem, the same issues. PPE, there are no other countries crying out for PPE this late in the game other than right-wing governments. No other countries are crying out for PPE right now. Everyone's going off now, other than right-wing governments. Why? Because there's always something more important than providing for the people. There's always something more important. If they had 5 billion, they'll go, okay, 1 billion to the corporations, 1 billion towards taxes. So with those above 60k pay less taxes. 1 billion towards the motor industry. Then we got 1 billion. We got 2 billion left. 1 billion for MPs and packages for this and that and other. And then the last billion will be shared between the homeless. Will be shared between the schools. Our schools. When we lived in Spain, we got to see where our schools come on the chart. It's sad. Our schools, what we spend on our children, what the government spends on our children in schools, we're ranked about 29th. This is when my son was in school over there. This was probably, 2020. This was probably around about 2008, 2009, 10. That's when we got to see Spain, which is a poorer country, was like top 7. When you see what they feed their kids in school in Spain, it makes you want to cry for our kids over it. So right-wing governments do not spend on their citizens, my people. And it's about time people wake up to that. So guys, Brazil, people are dying in droves. America, death toll is now nearly 70,000. They've projected it to hit 140, 150 because these bastards running America, Trump's people, are making the states open up when the curb's still going up. No left-wing government is doing that or will even consider doing that. You know, I've got to give Boris his praise, yeah? And I think part of it is because he went through it himself. But Boris's moves right now, since he come out of hospital, Boris is moving like a left-wing leader. Watch how he's rolling right now. He's rolling more to the left than to the right now. However, I worry about his cabinet. It's his cabinet I worry about because Boris is the sort of right-wing guy, yeah, that will make a racist joke in front of you, his black mate. And you'll give him a look and he'll realize, oh gosh, yeah, I shouldn't have said that. He's that type of guy. But then you got the right-wing guys that will make it and make it boldly or will never make it in front of you just so they can make it funny. You know, so when you're away is when it all comes out. When you're sitting down, this little snidey stuff that don't raise, you know. So Boris is a guy that I think he can convert to being a good guy. I really do. But his right-wing people, the people around him, Jacob Rees-Mogg, who moved all his businesses to Ireland and then wanted everybody to vote to leave the UK. But right, his businesses remain in the EU. He moved all his businesses to Ireland. So that when the EU, and then fought hard for all the other businesses to drag themselves out the EU while he's remained in the EU. These are the people that are running with it. People that are retweeting stuff from Tommy Robinson. They're in his cabinet right now. Okay? People that are talking about get selection, like gene selection, so that we get less poor people and we get less black people. They're in his cabinet. So this is what worries me about Boris. However, in my opinion, Boris is not too bad. And right now, maybe down to the coronavirus that he picked up, he's behaving a bit well. Okay, so guys, let me go to my very last video now. And my last video is some breaking news, guys, that might shock some of you, okay? It's turned out that France got its first case back in December of last year, okay? Back in December of last year is the first case they had. America has also found out that they had a case back in December. So now what the experts are saying, and this is breaking news, but it's not factual yet, because what the doctor in France did, now the things have calmed down a little bit and they got less slow rates. A team of doctors at a particular hospital, you'll see in the video, team of doctors in that particular hospital have gone back to a time in December of 2019 when they had like a rash, like a bunch of serious type flu pneumonia type patients that came through to the hospital. So he went back and he checked, and they found that one guy who was Moroccan never left. He left the country back in August of 2019. Never went anywhere near China. Actually had the virus. So whereas they thought theirs started in February, America thought they started in February, late January. It's now looking like December. So now the question people are asking, and I'll keep you guys posted on this, is did they really then come from China? Is it possible it could have came from somewhere else? And because of the traffic to China, they was the first ones that saw, because of their being very aware and alert of things like this, maybe they were the first ones to see. Anyway, that's the theory. It's not conspiracy theory, it's just a fact. France has now found a case that went back 2 months further back than they thought. The US found a case a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't bring it to you guys on this channel. I've got a video of it, but I just never played it. There's a lady called the Ground Zero lady in America, and the Chinese people identified her as coming to visit China. She was the first case. I've got a video of it, so I might play for you guys at some point when we come to discuss this again. But again, we haven't done the same thing. But if if France and America have found that their first case goes back 2 months further back than they thought, when everyone thinks it really took off in December in China, then there are people that never traveled to China who then had it in December in Europe. So, guys, keep your eyes peeled for this, because the mystery on this, I think, will go on for a while. But either way, it's all about real news, not about fake news, not about what Trump is saying, how they started in a lab in America. Now, update on that also, before I play that last video for you guys, the update on Trump's fake news about the coronavirus started in America, in a lab in Wuhan. The fake news on that now is that the Five Eyes, guys, there's a group of there are 5 countries, okay, that work together. Their intelligence works together. So it's all the English-speaking Western countries. So you've got the UK, the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Their intelligence team together is called the Five Eyes, and they cooperate together. So, for example, when the reason Theresa May put Huawei to the side last year, that I told you guys about, when she was discussing bringing 5G to the UK, and she wanted to use Huawei, the reason she put them to the side and focused on Brexit for the minute was because America threatened to leave the Five Eyes. So America said, look, if you go with China, we're coming out the Five Eyes. So Theresa May put it to the side. There was all the Brexit stuff going on still. And then Boris Johnson came in power. And then Boris Johnson got the same warning from America. If you take them, we're going to come at the Five Eyes. But Boris Johnson went ahead anyway. Anyway, the Five Eyes today, just like the intelligence community that I brought to you guys 2 videos ago on yesterday's one, where the intelligence community in America knew Trump was going to tell this lie, so they quickly put out a press release saying we've looked into it and we don't believe this is the case. So when Trump got asked about this press release, he said, who put the press release out? Where'd you get that from? Who said? So it's like someone who's about to lie, but then they find out that someone already told you the truth before they lie. So he was gutted. But anyway, the Five Eyes came out today, guys. So that's Canada, UK, Australia, and New Zealand. The other 4, other than America. Even though the intelligence community in America already said Trump is lying. So Trump is the only one. And Trump is the only one right now who is saying that about that. But listen, the big fallout on it, is that since the other 4 countries in the Five Eyes have said, nah, our intelligence isn't telling us that Mr. Trump is telling porkies. From what we can see, he started in a wet market. So 5 intelligence communities, American, Canadian, British, Australian, and New Zealand, all say, no, Trump is lying. Trump is the only one saying that he's telling the truth. So guys, that's the update on that. Now take a look at this last video, just to tickle you guys' minds. It gives us something to think about. Maybe what we know isn't what we know, but not that we were tricked, but just that we didn't know. We didn't know people was being sick being sick of this. People came into hospital, thought they had the flu. Even my stepson, back in January at a funeral, collapsed. And now we're looking back because his missus is Australian and she just traveled. Sorry, his roommate is Australian. And she just traveled back from Australia through China to London back in just before Christmas. Now, on January the 6th, we had a funeral, family funeral. And my stepson collapsed. Now we're looking back and we're saying, I wonder if that was COVID. Because no one knew. It could have been COVID. He's not been tested yet, so we don't know if it's COVID. She also hasn't been tested yet, so we don't know if that was COVID. But we've been exposed. Many of us could have been exposed to this thing without us even knowing at all. And it also could be anyway, listen, let's leave it at that. Take a look at this. Right. We don't know. We just keep updating on the information that we have. So guys, I'm going to finish off with this video. Okay. So take a look at this video about the breaking news about France finding out that it actually had this virus 2 months before it thought it did. Take a look.
Well, a few weeks ago, I was speaking to friends and they said, well, I think maybe I had the coronavirus, but it was in January, so it couldn't be that because the novel coronavirus only spread to Europe in February and more widely in March. Well, here's news that might be interesting to those people. There's new evidence from France that it could be much earlier than previously thought. Jim Bitterman joins me now from just outside Paris, and it is startling to imagine, Jim, that this virus that we thought only arrived on our shores in 2020 could have been there a lot earlier. What are French authorities saying?
Well, they're particularly surprised as well because this apparently happened on December 27th, which is almost a month before the first known and confirmed cases appeared in France. Mm-hmm. Basically, what happened was that there was a number of cases came into a hospital, the Saint-Denis Hospital in Paris, and the doctors decided to go back and take a look at the severe flu cases that came in to see if there's any of them that could possibly check positive for coronavirus. And in fact, 1 out of 24 cases did indeed test positive. He's a Franco-Algerian man, 42 years old, and he had some very severe symptoms and a real bad case. He eventually got out of the hospital, survived, but his children also came down sick. His wife did not. In any case, the doctors were astounded at this because it really did move up the whole timeline and puts a whole different time frame on how the coronavirus spread. This Franco-Algerian man had never been to China. He'd only traveled, the last time he traveled outside of France was back in August of 2019. So it really does raise some questions about how it did spread to Europe, whether this was the first case or maybe there's some others out there. And in fact, now hospitals are going back to check to see if some of the cases that were identified as flu could possibly have been coronavirus.
Well, as I said, there's so many unknowns about this. But guys, let me just wrap up today. Looking forward to tomorrow's show, the Four Amigos. Also, thanks everyone for supporting. I really need subscriptions. I'm actually going to start a competition on here. I'm going to start giving out the full 100 mugs, t-shirts, caps and stuff like that for 5, depending on how many people subscribe off your recommendation. So for 5 you get a mug, a full 100 mug. For say 10 you get a nice t-shirt or a cap, and for 15 you get a t-shirt. But we haven't put it in place, but look out for this. But in the meantime, guys, thank you very much for watching this show again, this installment on Tuesday the 5th of May. I look forward to talking to you guys tomorrow. Have a blessed day as always, and please subscribe, share, and separate yourself from fake news. Don't believe it, and please guys, just have an open mind about this tool of the tracking tool that's coming onto our phones shortly. Okay, and download the app when it comes. But do your research and make sure you're sure about it. I'm not telling you to just walk into it. Okay, all right, have a fantastic evening, guys. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.